When I was young, it was just me and my mom, and then my stepdad came in the picture when I was about 5. I was into a lot of sports, fishing, riding my bike, pretty normal kid stuff.
He just was a wonderful baby. Easy, which I was only 17, so easy was good. But we lived with my mom and dad, and my mom helped a lot, so he bonded with her pretty quickly as well. And he would nap, and he was just happy all the time, and he continued like that until he was a teenager. I mean, he had his typical mouthy days, but nothing. He was my easy kid.
As a boy, did he struggle with authority?
He did not until I met his stepfather, who ended up adopting him. Those two did not see eye to eye from the beginning.
As a child with my stepfather, there's a lot of mental abuse, physical abuse. I started playing golf a lot, and I never came home when he was around because I was always golfing, so that was kind of like my outlet. And I remember one time I was on the golf course and a lot of people were smoking weed, and I hit it and fell in love. From the moment I started smoking, I also started selling. It wasn't, there was no lapse there. I immediately started trying to make money off it or do it for free. And that just set me in a whole nother realm. I wanted to escape from reality as fast as possible, and that was the first way, other than golf and, hanging out with people and doing other things to escape, but I always would have to come back. And when I first smoked, I didn't care. There was so much going on, so many crazy things that's happened in my life. I think I've been searching for that feeling for a long time, and I didn't know what was going to get me there. And as soon as I had something to quiet that crazy head of mine, like it's just been loud. I had a lot of expectations on me. I had a lot of secrets. I had a lot of pain. And it just was quiet, and I loved it.
He started running with what I called kids that were troublemakers. When he was in 9th or 10th grade, he got caught with marijuana at school, and he was sent to YOC, and he stayed in Youth Opportunity Center for about 6 months.
When I got arrested in school, they locked me up in the Youth Opportunity Center, which is like juvenile detention, with a lot of other criminals my age. So I got connected with the wrong kind of people, and when I left there, even though I was telling my mom I wanted to change my ways, that was never my intention. I just wanted out of there. That was a lie. Actually, things were about to get way worse, and I knew it. So I just wanted to get out of there and get started. And I went off the rails after that.
From there, it just went downhill, honestly. I remember a time where some kids pulled up in the driveway, and I knew I didn't want him going with them, and he and I got in a physical altercation because I tried to stand between him and the door, and I said, "You're not going," and he said, "Yes, I am." It got to the point where it wasn't just an insinuation. He was very open and very obstinate about it, that he was going to go where he wanted to go with who he wanted to go with, and I lost control.
So when I said in the beginning like that drugs quieted my mind, eventually drugs quit working. It didn't matter how much heroin or meth I put in my veins, it stopped working. It didn't quiet anything. The pain was still there. I just had to use because I was going to be sick if not. That's rock bottom. When the drugs and alcohol and everything else I was putting in me didn't work anymore, what was I going to do now?
We always had Christmas Eve at my mom's house. This particular Christmas Eve, he was on meth. And he was on one. He was on a bender. And so we moved Christmas Eve at the last minute to Spencer's house because Jordan didn't know where he lived. And we didn't tell Jordan. So he showed up at Mom's for Christmas Eve and no one was there. And then he kept calling and we weren't answering the phone. And then apparently he had been seeing people because he calls finally after we've opened presents and I've been ignoring my phone and trying to stay present. I pick up my phone and I had like 4 voicemail messages, and one of them said, "Mommy, please help me. I need help, Mommy. And I'm in Grandma's attic." And so we went to my mom's house. He had busted in through the window and had cut his arm badly. And he was in the attic hiding from people that were chasing him that weren't real. And he came down and he said, "Where's everybody been?" And we said, "We were at Spencer's house." And he said, "And I wasn't invited." And I said, "No, not this time." And he started crying, but then he got angry. And then he wouldn't go to the hospital for his arm because he was afraid they would keep him. So we had to bandage his arm, but that was a particularly hard holiday. He still was in there. That kid, he wanted to be part of Christmas. He was living the life of an addict and he was hardcore. But fundamentally himself, he was a kid that wanted to spend time with his family. And it was such a contradiction. And it was hard.
I run my mouth, and I thought, I told people I want to die. And I meant it, but it just took really long to die. I kept getting, I'd overdose and people would wake me up. I would get arrested, they'd throw me in jail. I had so many people putting their hands and trying to help me I couldn't see at the time. But I got to the point to where I went to this rehab. They sent me to the hospital to get checked out because my blood pressure and everything was through the roof. I had a blood infection. So when I went in there, the doctors a couple weeks before told me I had a blood infection, that I'm probably going to die because I won't quit using drugs. The doctor that talked to me had no patience for me. He didn't have any compassion in his voice. But I was grateful for that doctor because all the ones that babied me and told me, maybe you'll get better, I didn't believe them. I believed this doctor when he said you were going to die.
So one night I was praying and I said, and I remember it vividly, I said, "God, he is your son. You gave him to me. I cared for him the best I could. I'm sorry that I didn't do it right all the time. But you just gave him to me for a little bit. But he's your son. You need to deal with him now. You know what's best for him. And I want you to parent him because I can't do it anymore." And it was not but a few days later that we had our worst run. He was using... We went to Tennessee, and I came back to the house, was a bloody mess where he had been using. There was blood on my ceiling from him shooting up and it going into the ceiling. It was all over the floors where he would pass out, and there was blood everywhere. And I came home and I said, "We can't do this anymore. You can't do this anymore. We're done." And he said, "I know." And then it was just a couple of days later he went to that rehab. So it was all within a very short time period. But yeah, that was what I call my last prayer. I still pray, but that was the last prayer in addiction that I prayed. Just, he's yours, not mine, and I'm not going to stand in your way anymore.
So when I went to this rehab, I've been beaten and broken for so long that every easy, soft way I could try to get out of this addiction didn't work. Because I wanted to get sober for my kids, and I couldn't. I wanted to get sober for my mom and my family. I couldn't. The court systems threatening me with 6 years of prison. I couldn't get sober for that. The rock bottom is just waking up every morning knowing I had to use drugs, knowing I'm probably going to die, being absolutely okay with dying was rock bottom. I felt that I'd be doing everybody a favor, even my kids, by being gone. So when I went in this rehab, I immediately hit my knees, and the only place I had left was to look up and pray to God to save me from myself. There was nothing left. I got rid of every other avenue in my path. So I was either going to die or I was going to live. And the only person I had left to call on that I hadn't talked to in a while was God. And it instantly changed. My rehabs, I've been to 16, and there's nothing impactful about them. I thought I could run a rehab center because I've been to so many. Everything about this trip was different, and it's because I had an ultimate surrender. There was it's just like I signed the bottom of a piece of paper for God to just do whatever through me, in me, for me. I didn't have any other thing left to go on. Like, I was tired. When I got out, I instantly was watching preachers on YouTube. I was stuck in the house after rehab for 7 days with the COVID quarantine. I got COVID, so I watched preachers nonstop. I watched uplifting messages, and then I constantly prayed, but I started going to meetings and got a sponsor and worked steps. And I just remember driving home one afternoon, and the sun was setting, and it was just peace. I've been going hard, scamming, robbing, scheming, plotting, insanity for almost 2 decades, and it just stopped. And it was just, I was okay with me for the first time ever, in a very long time, if ever. I was at peace with who I was, proud of who I was, and I knew that there was something driving me, and I just stopped and prayed and thanked God that I was exactly where I was, because I was finally okay, and that was a big deal. Both are important to me, so this is my life, and this is a recovery symbol in death, and I used to shoot up in both of these arms, so if I was to ever go reach for a bag or a needle, I got 2 good reminders on each arm to where it can go. Yeah, I don't let those chains hold me back no more, and because I made it out of that, like, I'm on fire for God, and I'm on fire for recovery, and I will tear down anybody and anything that gets in my way of that, like, and I want to spread it, that, you know, and the people that are around me, and that's why it was important that I came back to this community that I grew up in. Like, people are seeing me and are like, what happened? How? I plan to go to your funeral, dude. Like, I've had people come up to me and cry, like, dude, you were dead last time I seen you. You overdosed last time I seen you. And I'm like, God, that's what happened. The moment I let God back into my life and asked him to take over, like, this is what happened. I'm healthy, I'm employable, I'm a dad today, I'm a son today, I show up today, and it's every day that I give it to him.